Yes bro, I'm jumping in your lobby. Tonight bro, just do drive to damn bro, that sound, yeah. Course bro, jumping. "15 minutes my bro just dropped my car off, borrowed it him for work. His car FK up on him, so left with mine is be here in bit, I jump in bro." Nice bro, respect. Buying flip-flop GTXXX you see for my new wheel setup bro. I try to buy, but I think slides only available in USA. USA, why bro? They are sick Velcro opening. We UK flag, United Kingdom bro. I don't know bro, it said only USA. For the slides. Yeah, looks it bro, I want them in, gonna check posting. I was gonna ask Krasi to buy and send wool. Listen. Yeah bro, Krasit Salvi is cool, he do it for you.
A state of trance! Are you ready to go on an emotional journey with us?
eyes? Do you believe in a God that tells you lies, or do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that brings you down? Do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that satisfies? Do you believe in a God that opens eyes? Do you believe in a God that tells you lies, or do you believe in me? Do you believe in a God that brings you down? Do you believe in a God that wears a crown? Do you believe in a God that makes you bow, or do you believe in me?
Ahoy, Rotterdam! Are you still awake? It's 5 o'clock and you're still with us. Let's show some emotions, ahoy!
just one day, I want to ignore a senseless fade. Colors are victorious over the gray. Start to get controlled by the state. For just one day, I want to forget the value of money and gold. I want to live life my way and lose my inhibition threshold. For just one day. For just one day.
state of trance. We are Super Strings, and I want to see 2 hands in the air.
information. Like, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
We always felt like our content was all about entertainment and being fun, but there was also this, sort of profession.
Well, this story is a doozy. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans, claims Jeffrey Goldberg. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. Now, that may be. And if it is, talk about embarrassing. You've got a guy here. Is this rolling? Seems like there we go. Okay, it's rolling. That was weird. There's like a weird delay. No, that was extended. But anyway, I digress. This story may be, on its face, embarrassing for the Trump administration in that they accidentally created a group chat to discuss bombing Yemen and included a liberal Russia journalist. Then there's the other story, and that's they intentionally created the group chat with a script that took 2 days to write, and they wanted him to espouse their narrative to the world. Look, I don't know exactly, but I think there's a strong possibility that these journalists are dumb as a box of rocks, and the Trump administration, should they have actually included him, did it intentionally so that he would report their words behind the scenes, which I gotta be honest, makes him look kind of good. J.D. Vance saying, we can't bomb Yemen, this goes against Trump's message, and then Hegseth says, but we're the only ones in the world who can put a stop to this. And then there's J.D. Vance saying, I get it, you're right, but I really want to keep bailing out Europe. U.S. trade doesn't even go through here. It really sounds like a PR message distilled through a moron who thinks he got leaked information. So the American people think they're getting a genuine behind-the-scenes look at the difficult decision to bomb Yemen. Let's be real. When they decided to have a conversation about bombing Yemen, they didn't do it over Signal. They met at the Pentagon. They're all in D.C. as it is. What a ridiculous story. But maybe I'm crazy and everybody else is crazy. So we'll talk about that. We got a bunch of other stories, my friends. A task force has been formed by the FBI to go after the swatters and the Tesla terrorists. Incendiary devices were found at an Austin, Texas Tesla dealership. And then, oh boy, I am really excited for the story, Sodagate. A bunch of conservative influencers were pushing a political message for money, it would seem, from a company that pays people to push these political messages called Influenceable, and they were arguing that it is government overreach to ban welfare recipients from buying soda. The government overreached when the government took the money out of my pocket and gave it to someone else for whatever reason, let alone buying soda. But come on, are we going to let welfare recipients take public funds to buy soda in the first place? This story's crazy. It turns out there's this massive network of prominent conservative influencers who get paid to have political opinions. Looks like we found the grifters. To be honest, though, it wins. It does. I can't disparage an organization that astroturfs the same way the left does if it is some kind of administrative civil war or otherwise. You need political messaging to win. So we will break all of that down, my friends. But before we do, head over to taxnetworkusa.com/Tim. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world, my friend. And with April 15th fast approaching, it's more aggressive than ever. In 2025, enforcement has ramped up. And if you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer you do, the worse it gets. Ignoring your tax troubles is the worst thing you can do. April 15th marks another tax year that has passed you by. Getting ahead of this is a smart move, but never contact the IRS alone. Instead, let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Why? Because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS, meaning they know exactly which agents to deal with and which to avoid. With proven strategies to settle tax problems in your favor, whether you owe $10,000 to $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists today. It's free. Stop threatening letters. Stop looking over your shoulder and protect yourself from property seizures and bank levies. Don't let the IRS control your future. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Tim. April 15th is just around the corner, my friends. Act now before the IRS does. And in case you didn't realize, this is a sponsored post. And I will get serious and say, I actually recommended these guys to some friends of mine. So we're very scrupulous when it comes to whether or not we take ads and do sponsor reads, and we're big fans. Shout out Tax Network USA. Appreciate the sponsorship. You can also go to castbrew.com. In fact, we are not paid to promote castbrew.com. Cast Brew is our coffee company. And make sure you pick up some Appalachian Nights. I think we've got a, let's see, here it is. Luck of the Seamus has arrived. So this is the Irish Cream Seamus Freedom Tunes collab. There's only 293 in stock to start, so pick them up while you can. Really excited for this one. There is a special picture on the back of this bag, which you can't see on the website. So consider it a collector's edition, I suppose. But if you want to pick up Luck of the Seamus, go to Casper.com, grab that, and you'll be putting Seamus through college. Seamus doesn't need it, though. He's smart enough. Ian does, but, you know, what are we going to do? Also, don't forget to join our Discord server. Go to timcast.com, click Join Us. Get in that Discord server. Don't just be a passive observer of the news. It's a good start. Be an active participant in this culture war, in this story. When you join the Discord server, you meet tens of thousands of like-minded individuals. They've got fitness channels. They've got podcasts. They've got video games. All of that really awesome stuff, my friends. So get on board today, because we really do want to see that you guys get involved and be a part of the story. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Bradley Devlin.
How's it going?
Who are you? What do you do?
Bradley Devlin, politics editor at the Daily Signal, and it's good to be back.
Well, right on. Thanks for hanging out. Simple enough. We got Shane hanging out.
Happy birthday to Bradley.
Thank you.
It's your birthday.
It's his birthday.
Thank you.
Hey, right on. Happy birthday.
No better way to spend it.
How old are you?
27.
Wow, right on.
Nice. I'm Shane Cashman, host of Inverted World Live. Last night, my guest was Paranoid American. We talked about the very real experiments into adrenochrome dating back to the 1930s and his time at Disney and weird occult symbolism that I'm sure would not surprise many of you that is in many of those movies. Phil, what is good?
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Levanti. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Get into it.
Here's a story from The Atlantic, my friends. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. So says Jeffrey Goldberg. What a story indeed. They say, the world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th, the U.S. was bombing Houthi targets in Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons, packages, targets, and timing. Now, of course, Pete Hegseth says, yeah, nah. He stunningly denies that war plans were leaked to a highly discredited journalist who dropped a bombshell report. I feel like this is fake. Let me show you why first. The story technically begins short after the Hamas invasion of southern Gaza. Okay, blah, blah, blah. On Tuesday, March 11th, I received a connection request for a signal from a user identified as Michael Waltz. Signal is an open-source encrypted messaging service popular with journalists, we understand. I assumed that the Michael Waltz in question was Trump's national security advisor. I did not assume, however, the request was from the actual Michael Waltz. I met him in the past, and though I didn't find it particularly strange that he might be reaching out to me, I did think it's somewhat unusual given the Trump admin's contentious relationship with journalists. I accepted the request. 2 days later, Thursday, 4:28 p.m., I received a notice that I was to be included in a Signal chat group called Houthi PC Small Group. Message to the group from Michael Waltz read as follows. Team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for the next 72 hours. My deputy Alex Wong is pulling together a Tiger team at Deputies Agency Chief of Staff level, following up from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and I will be sending that out later this evening. The message included, please provide the best staff POC from your team for us to coordinate over the next couple of days and the weekend. The term Principals Committee generally refers to the group of the senior-most national security officials, including the Secretary of Defense, State, and the Treasury, as well as the Director of the CIA. Should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway, I have never been invited to the White House Principals Committee meeting, and that many of the years of my reporting on national security matters, I had never heard of one being convened over a commercial messaging app. At this point, guy, 2 hours before the attack, and being texted the stuff, did it not occur to you that it's fake? I guess he says it did, but he still publishes the story, believing it to be real.
Surprised he didn't warn him.
So blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the actual messages. March 14th, Michael Waltz texted the group, team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. State of DOD, blah, blah, blah. At this point, a fascinating polity discussion commenced. The account labeled JD Vance said, team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. The Vance account goes on to state, 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. There is a real risk the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this is, as POTUS said, to send a message. The Vance account then goes on to make a noteworthy statement, considering that the vice president has not deviated publicly from Trump's position. I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep those concerns to myself, but there's a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. A person identified as Joe Kent wrote, there's nothing time-sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. Now it goes on. I'm not going to keep reading this. Pete Hegseth says, VP, I understand your concerns and fully support you raising with POTUS important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. I think the messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on Biden failed and Iran funding. He goes on to say more and more about this. So they go on to mention that a spokesperson says that it appears to be a legitimate conversation, right? All right, let me just give you my quick assessment before jumping into the conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to read for 20 years all of the messages. Here you have the vice president, seemingly, talking with the Department of Defense, seemingly, saying, what do we do? Nobody knows who the Houthis are. How do we inform the public as to who they are and why they're so bad? And that this really does matter to America. Are you kidding me? Well, I would include a journalist in the text message and then create scripted crap to be like, the Houthis are bad. Because the moron's going to be like, whoa, they texted me. Guys, look, the Houthis. So Donald Trump took a hit on the bombing of Yemen. People were sharing the interview I did with Trump where he said, you don't need to do this. A lot of people said it was inconsistent. And then all of a sudden, this journalist is like, look at this perfect script of a J.D. Vance saying, I don't think it's a good idea. And Hegseth saying, you might be right, but we need to send a message. The president thinks it's the right thing to do. Oh, come on. Do you guys think this was an accident?
Accident on purpose.
Right.
They sent it. He took the bait and ran with it.
Maybe it was.
I mean, look, I don't have any sense as to whether or not it is or isn't an accident. The idea you laid out is completely plausible. It's also completely plausible that, someone had that dude's name in his phone and they put by the initials and they put the wrong initials in. That's plausible as well. And
maybe. But he literally says they don't get the journalist says they don't do these meetings over commercial phone apps.
Like I said, I have no sense as to whether or not it does. Maybe they, it could. I completely think that people make dumb mistakes. So it could be that they made a mistake. But until I see what was ostensibly top secret information that was sent, until you actually show me that, this is a nothing burger.
Wait. The PR stuff. Look at this. Look at this message. It's like, as I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make it clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Everybody listening. I'm going to go ahead and say I believe strongly that this was intended to trick the journalists into publishing this message. The messages are scripted. The DOD does not green light 2 hours in advance strikes on a foreign country like this. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm willing to bet that considering the meetings I've been in and how slow everything is, bro, I can't install chicken wire in an hour. I can't install chicken wire in 1 hour. If I want chicken wire put up, I got to make like 3 phone calls and then complain why it's not getting done. And you think the government is just like, let's have a debate real quick over whether or not I'm going to press the button and fire the missiles from our destroyers off the coast of Yemen.
I mean, look, DOD Rapid Response has a clip of Hegseth on Fox News saying that you're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist. So I mean, look, they're denying that it's true.
How much again? One more thing. What if some morbidly obese guy covered in Cheeto dust was sitting in his living room watching Fox News, eating Flamin' Hots, because they're awesome, by the way, and then decided to text this guy and hoax him.
Well,
and
look,
he believed it.
Someone just hoaxed Kanye, thinking it was Joe Rogan, and he tweeted about
really?
it, and Joe Rogan was like, "That's not me."
Whoa!
So these things, those do happen. That was last week.
So there's a few different theories on this. Tim, will you go to the part of the story where the National Security Council responds? This one, I think, gives your theory a lot of credibility. If you are in this position, you deny, right? You just deny, or you don't respond for comment. You don't, like, Hegseth is now denying in front of the media. But here's what this spokesperson says. This appears to be an authentic message chain, and we are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. The thread is a demonstration of the deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials. The ongoing success of the Houthi operation demonstrates that there were no threats to troops or national security. Hilarious to me. I think there's a few different theories. So one is like just complete BS. The guy eating Cheetos on the couch has duped this journalist with his buddies. One would be super metal if that was the case. The second theory is that this is some sort of concocted, not real, either AI or staffers pretending to have a high-level policy conversation with this journalist in the chat to promulgate that narrative.
I think it's scripted.
And then the third, or scripted. And then the third one is that it's real. You mentioned, if you don't show me the goods, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah.
So this is about a military operation that has already happened. And so if that is the case, lawyers, the Atlantic has an army of lawyers to make sure that they can continue to destroy regular American people's lives on a regular basis and win in the court. They should be able to have some sort of review to redact or include important information, but the screenshots that they include are just of this, what did they say? Deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials. They could have had some sort of legal redaction, right?
He said that they were waiting, or they didn't produce this. They didn't release this until after the attack or whatever had happened, right? So then why is there no information coming out? Exactly.
Right. There should be some sort of redactions available to show that you actually had some evidence of prior knowledge of a strike.
It happened, yeah.
Right,
Why are they having the debate literally 2 hours before bombing Yemen?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have met in D.C. and then actually confirmed their plans in person? This makes literally no sense. Why is the vice president texting the Secretary of Defense his opinion on a strike they're prepared to carry out in a couple of hours?
Yeah.
Unless their real consideration was Trump was the anti-war president who said we can't bomb these countries, and now we're planning on doing it. How do we get this narrative out there? Mm-hmm. How about, like, if we release a statement, no one's going to buy it. But it's that meme where the Babylon Bee wrote that story. Ingenious move, Donald Trump comes out in support of impeachment, forcing Democrats to oppose. Whoops, we've accidentally revealed our true plans. Yeah. And it was a deep and thoughtful conversation about the collateral damage potentials, threats to our troops, the purpose behind the strike, and who the Houthis are. And now the American people's heard it all. Great. And all these liberals are laughing. They're so dumb.
Right. It's like they don't care that their enemies, their perceived enemies, look at them as incompetent through this. They just wanted the story out. If it is the case that it was planted in this journal.
Well, it could be a coalition. So, like, I think one area where the President Trump and his administration has received a lot of pressure is on the more restraint-oriented side of the right so far, with people like Mike Waltz being National Security Advisor. And so they go through with strikes on Houthis, and that has been a major issue for the restraint-oriented right. Like, why are we involved in Yemen at all? And so if you want to shore up that side of your coalition, you put something out there like, you could put something out there like this that says, hey, that Vice President J.D. Vance, who the restraint community liked a lot, is advocating behind the scenes for the restraint position, and that is being received kindly by people like John Ratcliffe, like by people like, and Joe Kent's inclusion, that was interesting too. Oh, yeah. Like, Joe Kent was a big figure in this community. When he didn't win his congressional runs, that was a bummer, and to see him get picked for the administration, that was a big deal for some people. So, JD in there, Joe Kent in there in this decision-making process, even when everyone seemed kind of leagues higher than his administration position. And Hegseth, who has, some credibility problems with the restraint community, coming in and saying, I totally get where you're coming from, JD. That could be the play, right? It's a coalition play for the own administration, because there was a New York Times piece maybe it was a week ago, about how people inside the administration are apparently calling the National Security Council the neoconservative Security Council. I don't know. Could be a motive. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything definitive, but that could be a motive.
They didn't give us strong messaging on the strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, and there was a backlash against it with a lot of people on the right saying bad. Now all of a sudden this guy leaks a message where you look at it and you're like, oh, I understand the justification. They're concerned about trade through Europe. They don't want to bail Europe out. They want to send a message to the Houthis. The Houthis are this terroristic group that are striking these ships. Now they've created a story where regular people will be exposed to it, and it's headline news everywhere. Every major outlet is talking about this.
And like what Bradley's saying, the first things I saw in this story broke was people saying Vance is the most American first day.
Yep.
Part of PR.
So think about, I think about Donald Trump being a master manipulator of the media. Famously, in his 2016 campaign run, he got $5 billion worth of free press by gaming the media into constantly talking about him. And they made money from it too, so it was win-win. But that's how Trump dominated the airwaves with a minimal budget compared to the rest of these candidates. I don't see it as any different, and I don't know why Trump wouldn't be using that expertise now, and why this wouldn't be the case. But you know what? Hey, there's always a possibility it was an accident, and they're bumbling morons.
That's only a possibility.
Speaking of influence, though, let's jump to this next story. From Li Fang, the sugary soda industry's covert influencer campaign falls apart. My friends, grifters are about, and it's going to get weird in this Trump term. So the long story short of this is that a handful of conservative influencers appear to have been paid to promote sugary beverages for welfare recipients. What a ridiculously weird thing to get paid to promote. But what you end up learning as you dig through the story is that there is a conservative leaning. It's a company that has reportedly been associated with large conservative influencer spheres of influence. A weird way to say it. But they pay money for prominent individuals on X and other platforms to promote specific products. Now, I got no problem with promoting a TV show. If for some reason you decided just today was the time to come and claim that Severance was a good show, maybe someone paid you, I got no beef with that. Promote your shows you like. I don't care if you're getting paid. It's a TV show. Ads for soda exist all the time. We do ads. We did an ad for this show. But when you're espousing political messages, now we got ourselves a problem because you're getting paid to be political. The bigger picture is, regardless of whether you're being paid to promote movies or video games or otherwise, you are legally required to disclose this. This is where the story gets crazy. Here's a story from Li Fang. Conservative social media influencers have been caught posting thwarted messages opposing proposed nutritional guidelines for SNAP benefits, that's welfare, food stamps, after receiving payments from public relations firms. The campaign emerged as HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy explores limitations on SNAP benefits for sugary beverages. During fiscal year 2021, the program dispersed over $121 billion in benefits, with a significant portion spent on ultra-sugary drinks that provide minimal nutritional value. Take a look at this. We've got Clown World. The government wants to block soda purchases for Americans on SNAP. Remember when NYC tried this and it completely backfired? President Trump proudly had a Diet Coke button in the Oval Office. This is ridiculous government overreach. Let people decide for themselves. Eric Doherty. We cannot allow Make America Healthy Again messaging to be used to force Americans into not buying certain things. Some officials in D.C. are working on trying to prevent Americans on SNAP from using those benefits to purchase any soda. Remember when New York City Democrats tried to prevent? Yep. Remember when Trump had a Diet Coke button? We get it. Let people decide for themselves. Ian Miles Strong, you get the idea. The same thing. They were all posting basically the same message. Now, this is the crazy thing. This basically exposes, let me see, do I have the, where is that silly website? Let me pull, I thought I had it pulled up. It's a website, no, I must have closed it. Let's see, here we go. Influenceable. This is the website that says unlock the power of influence. We have this story from Texas Tribune going back to 2023. And it references, in late June, about a dozen conservative Gen Z influencers converged on Fort Worth for a few days of right-wing networking. They go on to mention the event was sponsored by a fledgling company, Influenceable LLC, that recruits young conservative social media figures to promote political campaigns and films without disclosing their business relationship. That's illegal, by the way. On its website, the company touts itself as the world's largest network of digital activists and offers clients the power to cultivate a community of influencers to leverage their credibility. So here we have it. Let's see what happens when I go for influencers. Let's sign up. Get paid for being yourself. I'd like to get paid for being myself. Wait, what happened? Oops.
Uh-oh.
We're sorry. The form is no longer here. Gee, did maybe something happen recently where they started removing their influencer sign-up page? So we did get a response from Chad Prather, who says, I'm a comedian, I'm a conservative, I'm a man that makes mistakes. I love the values that I share with many of you. I'm often asked to share things. He says that he was not, no, I didn't take a payment for sharing it. I've had a large following for years, etc. Eric Doherty says, that was dumb of me, massive bag on my face. In all seriousness, it won't happen again. I don't think it matters. We got ourselves here a conundrum, boys. If we're looking at what I describe as Donald Trump in a wartime presidency, they tried to put him in prison. They arrested his lawyers. There were 2 assassination attempts. This is some degree of conflict. There is warfare afoot. We're not in a civil war. I'm not saying that. But Donald Trump needs to go after these corrupt individuals. They need to be indicted. They need to be arrested. Where are we at on this one? Because I'm conflicted, as I often am. I find this scummy. Promoting sugary beverages to welfare recipients? That's what you're doing? You're not even promoting Vote MAGA. You're saying, no, Maha bad, everyone go buy sodas. At the same time, this conservative influence network that pays people to post, this coordinated messaging is a counter to what Democrats have already been doing for decades. And if we don't counter their machine, we lose.
I get that. I don't like when the left does it. I also don't like when the right does it. It's just gross to me. These guys selling soda reminded me of Colbert dancing with vaccines on late night TV. It's just something gross.
Yep, I agree.
Do you remember like a week ago? I know we're in a time warp. When Cory Booker and all of those Democrats put out that same exact video with the same exact script on Trump shutting down the government or something
that
like
ain't
that.
True.
Yeah. That's that one. I'm pretty sure a lot of these same folks made fun of that, only to fall into that exact same scheme. A week later. I'm all for high levels of potentially even paid coordination on the right in order to make sure that conservatives win the day, right? The difference between right and left is that the left actually gets all their money from USAID on this stuff.
Used to.
Used to. And so I want to see that level of coordination. What I don't want to see is a level of coordination that brings people into the tent that shouldn't be there. Namely, these massive food corporations, these massive oligopolies that have no interest at all in advancing the America First agenda, right? Like, they shouldn't be in the camp. I'm totally fine with paying people to engage with the public on issues that actually move the ball forward for MAGA. I don't think this issue moves the ball forward.
It's just once you know someone's for sale, how do you trust anything that ever comes out of their mouth?
Right. These individuals who are, you've got, for example, Ian Miles Chung, you've got Eric Doherty, you've got Clown World, you've got Chad Prather, and they're not the only ones. Those ones that are getting dragged on this the most. These are people, guys, with all due respect, I know some people have apologized to some degree. You know, Chad said, egg on my, he said, I didn't get paid for this. So if that's true that he didn't get paid for this, then fine. I actually don't see him in the list of these things, so I'm wondering what he posted specifically. But Eric Doherty saying that was dumb of me. You guys were posting ads without disclosing they were paid ads. That's illegal, right? So this goes back to 2016. The Kardashians got in trouble. The FTC will go after you. They say that a watchdog group found over 100 posts from the Kardashians that were not marked as paid advertising. When we do videos on YouTube, we're required to select a box saying this video includes paid promotion. Yeah. When we put so I said this earlier, I don't sell direct tweets, but we do tweet things that we do take sponsorships for. So when we've done events, we've had sponsors say, we'll sponsor your event, but we want you to tweet about it. And I'll say, okay. And then we'll put powered by or sponsored by. I like to use sponsored by, or we'll outright put hashtag ad in it. What? You're legally required to do so. I've even deleted posts when they were improperly posted. And we can't do that. Sponsorships are totally fine. The problem is they're not disclosing it. So how many other posts do they have? How many other posts, guys? You're saying, oops, my bad. Yeah, how many of your tweets, your X posts are paid for that you didn't disclose? Look, the challenge here is, will the Trump administration actually pressure the FTC to go after conservative influencers who like Donald Trump? Probably not. Right? That's the reality of it.
Good though. I think everyone, if you do
I agree.
something bad like this, and you should go after it.
I think these people should go and delete every single paid promo tweet they have.
Not even yes, but also tell us which ones they are.
Right.
Be super open about it. You know, like this is all the ones I've done. I'm deleting them now, and we can move on.
I can't follow these people.
Oh no, I don't follow these people. Maybe.
But their political opinions are for sale.
You deal with this way more than I do, of course. When are there different rules of the road for political opinions versus products, right? Because I think the soda thing, it's
substantially more highly regulated, and you start getting into very serious electioneering stuff. So, for instance, when you want to buy ads on any platform, they have specific restrictions on social and political influence versus products. So Instagram's a good example. Let me see what I got going on over on the old Instagram here. So we do marketing, same as anybody else. And on Instagram, here's a good example. I have a video that let's see if I can find one. Actually, I'll just put it this way. I would say 99% of the videos I post cannot be promoted on Instagram. Anything pertaining to a social issue of political consequence will be rejected outright. So the few promos that I've done on Instagram, the one that I could pull up is the pogo stick over the Cybertruck. We did a boost on that one, and so the visible views you can see are separate from the views you get from advertising. On Instagram, if you do a promotion, it will not publicly display any of the views you get from the promotion.
And if you do a pogo stick over a Cybertruck, you deserve to have
front flip.
Front flip?
Front flip. Pogo stick front flip.
You have to show me this.
Crazy.
So I got 547,734 views on it, and then I ran it as an ad because it was doing so well and got an additional 179,773. That's the kind of stuff that I can promote. It's a pogo stick. Every time I try to promote my Instagram, anything at all, it gets rejected as a political ad. YouTube is the same. There are heavy restrictions on political advertising. So I think the reason they don't disclose it is because they're bordering on very serious, ethical dilemmas in what they're allowed to spend and how they're allowed to do it. I can't say I know for sure because a lot of these are generic, but it gets called into question when they're not advocating for a politician, they're not advocating for a specific bill or anything. It's like any other commercial you'd see on TV where they're like, oppose the pill ban. You know? Call your member of Congress today. You're allowed to do that.
They're paid to be bots. It's like dead internet theory, but with real people paid for ideas. Right?
I think it's scummy.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it should be clear when it comes to at least topics that are totally flying in the face of all the things that the right has been going on about. First of all, the right doesn't like social programs like SNAP generally. Some people say, okay, we need them, but for the most part, you'd think the right would be able to agree. Yeah, for things like soda and stuff like that, we should say you can't get that kind of stuff. It should be for necessities, for basic stuff. And then, so there is the argument, oh, well, the government shouldn't be telling you what to do with your money, which is what the argument that they're making. This is, clearly that's an
with my money, you mean?
Premise. Exactly, it's an error because it's not their money. So anytime the government gives you anything, everyone knows there's strings attached, whether it be money to states or money to individuals. There are strings attached for everything. And then obviously the fact that it goes up, goes after it flies in the face of the Maha movement and stuff like that. It's just all ridiculous, and it was clearly a terrible idea for anyone to do this. And yeah, no one should trust any of the people that are posting this.
Apparently, they were promoting Sound of Freedom too.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I like that movie, and so I'm fine with that. The only problem I have is they didn't disclose that it was an ad.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't get it. Who cares? I don't sell tweets, so the only times we've done it is, like I mentioned, someone sponsored IRL for an event or show, and then asked us to tweet out the show link. And I said, I've explicitly told all the sponsors, we will not tweet out anything that's like, buy this product from this company. We will, however, tweet, today's episode is this, sponsored by this company. That's totally fine. But I don't know, man.
Bad news, man.
Political opinions for sale. What
Well, that's the thing is you can't trust these people now. And unfortunately, like these people have like such broad reach that it's like, well, okay, now, the fact that you have broad reach, now that's a liability instead of, an asset to the goals that people on the right have. It's like, oh, well, okay, everyone is going to look at you and be like, well, you can't trust anything they say. And then you're literally discrediting things that are true, that could be true that you can.
And you don't even have to, I'm sorry, we were on here.
Yeah, let's jump to this next story. We got this from the Daily Beast. MAGA fooled by official RFK Jr. plan to ban pharma ads on TV. A post on X announced the Health and Human Services Secretary's plan to ban the ads, but no such plan exists. I don't believe you, Corbin Bowles. Is that how you say his name? I'll tell you why. So it was Unusual Whales, which is not some random garbage user account. This is like they get stories, man. Allies and adversaries of RFK Jr. alike were elated when the next post on Monday claimed that Health and Human Services Secretary planned to ban pharmaceutical ads from television. But Kennedy made no such announcement, and no such plan exists. Breaking, RFK Jr. has announced plans to ban pharmaceutical advertisements on television, wrote Unusual Whales early Monday. Unusual Whales is a service that provides data on unusual stock trading activity. Politicians and media personalities circulated the news, most of whom praised Kennedy for acting on this long-stated desire to bar such ads from the airwaves. Great idea, Hawley wrote. Huge conspiracy theorist Naomi Wolf chimed in. What about podcasts? MAGA podcaster Tim Pool mused. Interesting. I think most of us in public health would support this. Dr. Ashish Jha, former President Joe Biden's COVID-19 response coordinator, wrote, though he noted the court challenges have impeded such efforts in the past. Indeed, it's the First Amendment. So they've put restrictions on pharmaceutical ads, but they can't block them because people have this right to speak up. But Liz Wheeler breaks down exactly why this would be tremendous. The corporate media will fail. You will watch before your very eyes as highly paid MSM anchors are fired, networks panic, and some shut down. Paychecks aren't paid. The entire business of mainstream media is a fake business, artificially propped up by massive ad dollars from pharma ads. Guys, I watch Fox News all day. It's nothing but drug commercials.
Right into my vein.
Yeah, I know. Is it America and New Zealand are the only places that have pharmaceutical ads on TV?
I gotta say though, Vanda Pharmaceuticals, you have the best commercials ever there. There's the one where all electricity shuts down in Paris, and this woman runs. For some reason, some random blonde woman is running full speed through Paris, climbs a tower, and then turns on all of Paris' electricity with a single lever. I don't know why Paris has that kind of switch that can disable the entire city.
Easy.
But while she's frantically running to restore the power, they're talking about a drug that might kill you. Then there's the other one for Fanapt. I just love this commercial, dude. It's for bipolar 1 disorder. You see, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But the commercial's so good.
You weren't paid for this, right?
No, I wasn't. But I love the commercials because as the woman is trying to figure out how to lock the door to her store, it's telling you that the drug kills you.
Yeah.
It's like this German woman being like, Fanapt increases the QT interval, which is associated with heart arrhythmia and sudden death. And I'm just like, wow. That's an advertisement.
There's a reason SNL used to make fun of those commercials in the 90s. And the commercials haven't changed.
So in all seriousness, I think all pharmaceutical ads should be banned, gone, none. If it's a prescription drug, you should be able to run those ads on TV. What do you guys think?
I love the idea, if only because it will destroy the mainstream media. I'm fine with it. I think all those drugs are poison and they should go.
One thing that really, just shows the cards of the mainstream media on this issue. It's like they're instantly bringing up First Amendment protestations on this. Listen, I think everyone on this show loves the First Amendment. As one Australian politician recently put it, the reason we have these laws is because we don't have a First Amendment like they do in the United States. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother, we do have that. You're not coming after my speech. This isn't speech. Why is it then that there are restrictions on tobacco and other types of advertisements, and yet pharmaceuticals get to claim this special First Amendment privilege when that wasn't extended to other types of advertisements? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. This is not at all what the First Amendment is designed.
A few years ago, I saw an interview with, I think it was the CEO of Clearview AI, it's that facial recognition app, and he was saying that it was their First Amendment right as a corporation to collect all the faces off the internet, put in their database.
What?
Yeah. And this is kind of a similar thing. It's like the corporations they have personhood. We're going to give them our rights.
It is a challenge First Amendment wise, but I do, this is why I keep going back to this wartime presidency, because my views have changed quite a bit. I keep bringing this up today because it's top of mind, but I sat down with Konstantin Kaisin over at Trigonometry. I was on the Trigonometry podcast. It's going to come up I don't know when they're uploading the episode, but I really do recommend you guys watch the full thing. But one point he asked me when I said, Donald Trump should use the powers needed to preserve the union and stop the corruption. And he asked me the very basic question everybody asks, and I think is very naive. But I'm not saying he's naive. I'm saying it's a good question. But the response from most people's name is, what happens when Democrats take control and then use those powers against you?
They already do.
My response is, it doesn't matter what powers they use. Any leader who gets in and enforces amoral degeneracy, I have a problem with. And so no matter what we say we want today, it actually doesn't matter what the limit of the powers are. It matters the moral worldview of the individual enforcing the rules. The example that I give is, we ask the question, should parents have the final say in the healthcare decisions of their children? Yes or no?
Yes.
Unless they're going to abuse them.
And there's the problem. So your answer is no. The answer is outright
it does
no.
Come to a part where the parent's idea of care actually is real life abuse.
So you have two scenarios. In Florida, the parents say, we want our children to be trans. Should the parents have the final say?
No, because trans isn't real.
Okay, so
good answer.
Okay, now in California, the parents say, we don't think trans is real, so we do not want this for our kids. Should the state intervene?
No, the parents should get out of the state. I mean, look,
that's not what I asked. And the point I'm bringing this up is, when it comes to the banning of pharmaceutical ads, I literally don't care about your "but my morals" question. If we ban the speech today, Democrats will come and do something tomorrow. Understand this. If we had an amendment to the Constitution, the 20th Amendment said, all parents will get the final say as to the medical decisions of their children. The end result would be waves of parents giving their children sex changes without our ability to intervene. So do we want that principle enshrined in law? And when we're saying this, we are saying kids shouldn't be forced to take drugs when the parents are saying no. The state shouldn't be allowed to take the kids from the parents. Schools shouldn't be allowed to cover this stuff up. We're, of course, not saying that parents should be allowed to abuse their children. The issue is, we want that enshrined in law, but as soon as a Democrat gets in, they reinterpret the principle and apply it in the other direction.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we say. So if we were to say right now, this is not free speech to sell prescription drugs to people that could kill them and mess them up, and it destroys this country. Free speech is the expressing of political ideas that we want, not selling products. Then, of course, we say, of course, I'm not talking about selling a sandwich. Then what happens? Democrat gets in, ban sandwiches. A really great example is in New York, they banned public drinking. And the city councilman that passed it at the time, they were concerned about homeless vagrants getting drunk. And the exact quote when they were passing this provision was, let it not be said that a man can't enjoy a beer with his lunch. That is not what this legislation does.
Doesn't matter.
Today, in New York, you cannot enjoy a beer with your lunch. That they banned this back before there was drinking and driving. People used to drink and drive, I think, what, in the 70s or something? Like 60s?
60s, probably.
So my point is simply this. Everybody keeps playing this game of, we must be principled. And I'm like, bro, nobody has any agreement on what those principles are anymore. Being principled applies to a country with social cohesion. If everybody shares a moral worldview, we remain principled because we're saying, don't be corrupt. But if you come to me and say, but Tim, if you say that Trump should arrest the corrupt politicians, Democrats will get in and do it too. And I'm like, actually, it's the other way around. Yeah, I think Democrats did this, and now Trump should too.
I think you're pointing out there's been an inversion for a long time on the right about how these principles actually work with one another. What you're pointing to is like, the complaint about abusive parents, right? In the case of abusive parents, whether that's sex changes or physical abuse or whatever. If a second order principle is not in service of a higher principle, which is our view of there are things that are morally right and things that are morally wrong. If someone has hijacked that, then that principle is no longer in service of the common good. I go back to Aquinas and what he says about what law is. Law has to be in service of the common good.
Yeah.
If it's not in service of the common good, then you are free to politically, prudently reject that law. These aren't, the left and their efforts to, trans the kids. There's no way that can be interpreted as some sort of positive moral good in a world where there is any sort of rational world where we can determine what is right, what is wrong, what is black, what is white, etc. I think you're absolutely right on this. Like, this wartime presidency thing is actually a recovery of higher values in our politics that have been completely destroyed because people latched on to these secondary principles, right? Wanting to have a say over your child's education or over your child's well-being, and made that the entire ballgame. And actually, we need to get back to the most basic stuff, which is, no, everybody, there is a right and a wrong. The world was created by God. He has a plan for you, right? You have to get back to that.
So here's where we are.
Totally agree.
There was a time when this country was morally cohesive. We had a dominant moral worldview. It was based on Christian moral ethics. Whether atheists want to accept it or not, it's actually a fact. You can disregard it. That's what you get with wokeness and liberalism today. In this period, we believe in free speech. Can you guys tell me one time this country has ever actually believed in free speech? Because the answer is it never has.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to drag this country, United States, it's a great country, but when they actually ratified the Bill of Rights, blasphemy was still illegal. You can go to small towns and they'd string you up, they'd kick you out, they'd criminally charge you for obscenities. Speaking obscenities in public was illegal even in the 1970s. In fact, the Second Amendment, when was that ever protected? We argue about the NFA, please. You couldn't carry a gun on your person until 2008 with DC versus Heller. So we like to look at the Constitution, and I will say this. We have been winning tremendously over a long period of time towards those goals in the Bill of Rights. But the Founding Fathers never intended for any of them to be applied this way. Because I'll say it again. You go back to the Founding Fathers, stand up in one of their congressional congresses and start cussing and blaspheming, and they'd have you arrested. And they'd say, we're not talking about the free speech to do that. We're talking about the right to peaceably assemble men. That individuals could gather in a room and hold a Continental Congress of the king, coming and shutting down. My point ultimately is this. When our country is morally unified, we think we're operating under these principles. But the truth is, the moment someone speaks out something nasty, we throw them under the bus. To be fair, in the past 30 years, you could say the most important thing in the world you wouldn't get thrown in prison for. You go out and do Nazi stuff, you would go to prison for it. And that's the important point. But that's still a recent development. Today, my point is simply this. There is no moral cohesion in this country. The woke think being mean to people is violence and will enforce that law against you. They argue that incitement to violence is not free speech. The right then agrees. They then say, and disparaging a group and calling them evil monsters is inciting people to attack them. We then disagree. Doesn't matter. You will get a judge who will bang the gavel and say, of course, if you demonize a whole group of people, people will attack them. And so your principle of free speech is meaningless in the context of your morals. Let's jump to this story, which actually brings us deeper into this problem. Judge contends Nazis got more due process than Trump deportees did.
Don't care.
Really? And that's the answer I was looking for, Phil.
Don't care.
Who cares? Donald Trump's trying to deport Tren de Aragua. There's apparently arguments that there's a gay Venezuelan barber asylum seeker who's been wrapped up in this and sent to a supermax in El Salvador, which is terrifying. I don't want... Well, first thing I got to say is, why do you try to exploit my country and lie to get in here? Because if you're from Venezuela, Mexico is right there, and you're safe. But so I think he's a liar who committed a crime against this country. I don't think he deserves to go to supermax, but at the same time, am I really going to come out right now and argue that Donald Trump should not use the fullest extent of his powers to undo the damage that Biden caused?
It's Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden allowed millions of people to come into this country illegally. Now we have to get rid of them. And that means that the chances of people that are not here illegally or that are not criminals or whatever, they're going to get wrapped up too. And hopefully we can fix it after the fact, and that they don't have too much actual irreparable damage or whatever, or repercussions that can't be remedied. But there are going to be errors when you're trying to remove millions of people. And I'm sorry that that's going to happen, but that's going to happen. And you can't avoid it. We are fallible humans. If you want to blame someone, blame Joe Biden and blame Democrats who have been pro-illegal immigration for at least 10 years.
And they lost 300,000 children.
Yeah.
I will say, a gay barber that gets caught up in an El Salvadorian supermax prison sounds like a fantastic premise for a great comedy movie.
It's like Barry. It's like, have you watched Barry?
I haven't seen this.
Bill Hader's show. It's amazing.
About the serial killer, right?
He's like a murderer. It's crazy.
Okay, yeah.
Bill Hader's, it's amazing, but there's a character just like that.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the point you were just making about, lamenting, oh, well, if we do this, then Democrats will eventually use that against us. Well, I think people are undercounting the knock-on effects that wielding this type of political power has, right? Like, Democrats did all of these things in the Joe Biden administration, dating back to, you want to stretch back to FDR or Woodrow Wilson or whatever, right? They were not concerned with what the right was going to do when the right got power. That wasn't a worry for them. Why? Because they knew if they exercised power in such a way, they could inculcate their interests and their people's, so that when we come in and we have a mandate like this on the right, breaking down that wall is proving really, really difficult. Just ask the Trump administration legal team, who finds themselves involved in 132 different court cases, right? So this idea that power once wielded can be equally applied by the other side, I don't think that's true in the current system that we have. So it's smart for the Trump administration, as Tim was saying, to use as much power as possible to get back to those basics that we were talking about, right? Moral cohesion. To get back there, we need to destroy everything that they've built to inculcate their values.
Obviously, right now, if one of the questions I had with the trigonometry guys is, if with all these terror attacks that are happening against Tesla facilities, and we've already seen the Summer of Love riots, so we're in this period of conflict. If the legislature of a state voted to protect these far left groups from their own law enforcement and from federal law enforcement, should Trump intervene, invoke the Insurrection Act, and start enforcing the law federally through the National Guard?
I was hoping they were going to riots.
The Summer of Love.
Right. Yeah, like they didn't do it then.
If the states then vote to bar the National Guard entry into their state and physically obstruct them, should Trump order the politicians arrested for levying war against the United States seditious conspiracy?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that is war.
I don't know
I don't know it would be the politically prudent thing to do. Would Trump theoretically be within his rights to do it?
That's part
in that situation? Probably.
So again, Abraham Lincoln had the Maryland legislature, portions of it arrested for being sympathetic to the Confederacy.
Mayor of Baltimore.
The mayor of Baltimore, too.
The grandson of Francis Scott Key as well, I think, was thrown in jail by Lincoln.
Suspended habeas corpus.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys this who are listening. You can comment. Do you think, and do you believe, two questions, that Abraham Lincoln was a despotic dictator, an evil man who was abusing his power? Do you believe that if you asked the average American that question, they would respond in the affirmative or the negative?
The average person would respond in the negative.
Right.
They would say he was a hero who did what he had to do to preserve the Union.
But he was a dictator.
And Donald Trump says he's like Abraham Lincoln.
Right. But I don't agree with what Lincoln did with suspending habeas corpus with those people, because they were just openly saying they were sympathizers of the Confederacy. Some of them didn't even do that.
The theory was that Abraham Lincoln didn't just arbitrarily be like, you know what, no habeas corpus for anybody. He said, we need safe passage between Pennsylvania and D.C. and Maryland as a slave state sympathetic to the Confederacy. Mm-hmm. We need to remove the Confederate sympathizers, and we need to create a passage for U.S. military and troops to move into D.C. without any obstruction. So the point of the suspension of habeas corpus was anyone who obstructed them would be arrested and removed immediately without question.
Right.
So they didn't, because they were at war.
Right.
We are not in a physical kinetic war right now. What we have is higher generational warfare to some degree, fifth, maybe sixth. We certainly have fourth. Fourth generational warfare is insurgency. Warfare does not mean you are at war with another nation or in a civil war or anything like that. So there's subterfuge, there's subversion. When I look at this story about the mass deportations, here's what I fear. Donald Trump should not be rounding up innocent people. I hope that doesn't happen. as much as people might sympathize on the left with this gay barber, one thing remains clear. He criminally entered this country to commit fraud against the United States. Now, if we get a story of an American citizen who was sent to a supermax in El Salvador, then I will go to the White House personally. I will text everyone I can and be like, get that citizen back here. When Donald Trump joked that the Tesla terrorists could maybe spend 20 years in a supermax in El Salvador, that's messed up. I say no to that. I think he's half joking, but I'm not going to tolerate any kind of, we're going to ship American citizens to a foreign country's supermax prison. No way. Far leftist wingnuts get due process, and that due process is the right to a trial, because if you don't give them that, you don't get it either. Now, as for these non-citizens, this gay barber asylum seeker, you want me to feel sorry for this guy? The guy who illegally entered our country, lied to us so that he could come here, break our laws? Listen, I don't want him in a supermax prison. I get it. But the left is going, oh no, the poor gay barber, quick, burn the Constitution? Sorry, not happening. You do not illegally enter this country and take advantage of the American people and then expect me to come out and defend you the way I would an American citizen or a legal resident who did everything right. That being said, Mahmoud Khalil, he's on a 2-year temporary green card. They act like he's a permanent resident. That's a technicality because he is on a green card, but it's a temporary, it's conditional. And he helped organize violent protests where they took over buildings and threatened workers, and there was violence against students. Sorry, you get your visa revoked for that.
See ya.
Yeah.
Right. That type of crime, no tolerance for it. No tolerance for it at all. And the crazy thing about what we see on college campuses right now on the left is all of those people who work in those buildings asked for it for so long. This is the type of academic environment they wanted to inculcate, right? They wanted to create this activist class that was either going to dole out USAID dollars or receive USAID dollars. And to see the, I don't know, the brain rot finally come for their own institutions. There's something very gratifying about it. At the same time, I really, like, a lot of these administrations on these college campuses are doubling down on these DEI policies or on this
changing
type of
names so that way they
changing names.
Did Columbia cave today for the $400 million?
I don't know. Did they?
It was some New York college. I think it was Columbia that caved to get $400 million.
The point, if they did, that's a win, because I see this window, right? The campus Hamas Israel protests creating a window for the rights to actually act vigorously against these academic institutions, and to see Trump come out and be so vigorous against them in the first 2 months has been wonderful to see. But you need something to, like, blow that wide open. And I think that's why the speech issue paired with leveraging federal funds is the perfect way to do this. Because if they don't, I mean, you just have to bring these institutions to heel. Like, this is the wartime presidency in a certain respect. It's this weird balance.
Yeah. I got bad news for everybody. I think that we're going to be moving towards the left propaganda campaign we predicted. Photos and videos of people being loaded on trains, buses, or whatever. They're going to say Trump is Hitler, it's Hitler 2.0, here we go. There's nothing you can do. We've got, on the low end, an estimated 10 million people who illegally entered this country, and that doesn't include the people who are legally allowed to enter under Joe Biden's special programs, like the 530,000 Haitians, Cubans, and et cetera, and Venezuelans. They were allowed to legally enter. These people didn't come here illegally. They were told if they had a sponsor here, they could come. Trump's terminating 500,000 legal statuses, immigrant legal statuses. Now that's tough. These are people who didn't break the law. They were told by Joe Biden, come on down. It's fine, it's legal. But this was still an attack on the American people, seeking to flood the zone in liberal jurisdictions to boost their electoral vote count. This is the game that Democrats have been playing. Trump will reverse this, otherwise the country is doomed. There will be a response from the left in some capacity, and you are going to get these narratives. Trump is a despot who's rounding up. The game they're playing right now is the gay barber is innocent. That's what they're saying. They're saying this gay barber is innocent. He was an asylum seeker, and Trump accused him of being turned to Aragua, sent him to supermax. My response is, that's propaganda. He entered the country illegally. End of story. Asylum seeker means he entered illegally. Because if he didn't, then he wouldn't be an asylum seeker, he'd be a visa holder, he'd be a green card holder. He came from Venezuela, bypassing every country in between where he could have been safe, came to the United States for economic reasons, most likely, breaking our laws, and in the sweep, he gets deported. Now, I've heard two conflicting reports. One says he's still currently in U.S. detention, or in U.S.-controlled detention, awaiting some kind of hearing. Others have said he's already in Venezuela. But this is not an American citizen who is innocent. This is a man who committed a crime, for which the due process is, sir, are you a citizen? No? Goodbye.
When they start pumping out that propaganda, the people on trucks getting pushed out, just as all our friends out there just keep saying, I voted for this. You gotta push through it, but the crazy people are gonna get crazier. I'm watching people out there. They're unhinged, like leftists. They're crazier now, or just as crazy as they were during something like that.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about what's going on with Tesla. We had the story from The Guardian. Incendiary devices found at Texas Tesla dealership amid growing protests. The Trump administration has pledged to crack down on vandalism and protest against Elon Musk's car company. So this is in Austin. They found what are incendiary bombs at these dealerships. The bomb squad was deployed. Just another story, another day where we're getting this far left terror. Now, over the weekend, I took my Cybertruck to D.C. and I drove it around Martinsburg, West Virginia. And so on our way to D.C., a woman in a blue car, we're auto driving. So the Cybertruck is just in the middle of the like in its lane, perfectly, driving on the highway. Driver is sitting there with his hands at his lap, looking down the road. That's what you do when it's auto driving. This lady gets right on the line of her lane and is super close to the truck. Like, I could have touched her car. I could have just, like, put my hand out. And she's looking she's looking left, not looking forward, staring at us in the car. And one of my buddies in the car was like, yo, this lady's, like, getting up on us, and she's staring at us. This is weird. And she held that for a couple of minutes. And I'm thinking, maybe it's just a bad driver. Right? We get to D.C., and as we were pulling into a charging station, some lady points at us, and the guy who's with her spits at us. We had... So that was it. I mean, maybe it's nothing, right? In Martinsburg, West Virginia, we had a woman roll her window down and start screaming at the top of her lungs at us, just like screaming with her kid in the car. And then the other thing was, I pulled up. I was at a stop sign, and a guy pulled up, looked at me, and then just gave a thumbs down like that. And then I just gave him a salute, and he took off. That's all I really experienced. I tweeted that, and a bunch of it got retweeted like crazy. I guess the reason it matters, as much as I was kind of like, yo, I don't really care. There was an unease. You don't know who's going to walk up and throw something at your car, or who's going to... we're seeing all these videos of violence and vandalism. Most people don't realize it's 100 times worse than that. The videos you see of the violence, by 1% of what's actually going on. There's a bunch of videos where people are hitting the cars, denting the cars, kicking the cars, keying the cars. But you're not hearing from the people who aren't in Sentry mode. Sentry mode is when the car records everything around it. Most people aren't using that. They don't think they need it, right? So their cars are getting damaged. I gotta tell you, I drive that truck around, and you can see it. These people are freaking out. Now, one last thing on this. A middle-class guy, liberal, 2 years ago, buys a Tesla for 30 grand. He finances. So he puts 5 grand down. He still owes 26,000 because there's fees. He's like, I did what the left wanted me to do. I bought an electric car. 2 years later, they're destroying it. They're keying it. So now he's got a dented fender. He's got it keyed left and right. And he says, I can't sell it because they damaged it. And if I try to sell it now, I can sell it for $10K and I'm underwater, $16,000 in debt. What do I do? That is the evil of the left and the world they've built for you.
I always thought it was going to be the child slaves in the cobalt mines attacking Teslas. Turns out
they're too far away.
Turns out, in fact, it was the climate change activist.
Ngannou is coming back.
It's funny that you mentioned that you had this experience, and I think that it's probably due to the fact that you were driving around in a Cybertruck, because I own a Tesla, and I actually went to DC this weekend myself. Not a
Tesla waters.
Well, I mean, me and Sarah went to look at to see the cherry blossom.
Bill, but you also kind of have a don't F with me look.
I mean, look, man, I'm not some tough guy or whatever, and I'm there with my girlfriend and stuff, and it's like, I do drive a black S, so it's not like some kind of like, it doesn't stick out the same way that a Cybertruck does, and I think that's probably why people took notice of Tim causing the vehicles.
I think maybe tomorrow I'm going to send out a film crew and one of our armed guards just to park the vehicle and I hate to say we're going to have an armed guard. There's no intention for violence. We want to interview the people who actually try to come up and engage the vehicle or do whatever they would do with it. The moment they come near it, we'll have the cameras come around the corner and just be like, what are you doing and why are you doing it? So I can hear what these people have to say.
It's like To Catch a Predator.
Right, exactly.
For Cybertruck.
For Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
And then, try and have them respond and be like, most people who bought these vehicles did it apolitically.
Yeah.
They're not buying them because they're like, woo, Elon.
You should, if you want to do this, you should try to do it near the federal building where a lot of federal workers work.
Oh boy.
And see if it's federal workers who come after it.
Well, I don't know. We've got a couple of universities around here,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That would be, yeah.
But it's hard to know. I mean,
Liberty University, they just, give it a hug. No,
people don't get this, but you think West Virginia is like this big red state. It is. But every city is blue. Everywhere. So when you go to Martinsburg, West Virginia, there's Progress Pride flags everywhere.
Yep.
And this is one of the concerns the locals were telling us when we were trying to set up shop there, which we are not anymore because of the far-left extremism and the vandalism, the violence. But it's unfortunate because the local businesses said these woke people from Frederick and from parts of Maryland are coming here because the rent is cheap. And they're bringing that influence with them. Now it's infecting their city, and what can you do?
Yeah. I wonder what the environmental impact is on destroying a Tesla. That's a big question for me. I also think of I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the heat map for liberal psychology and conservative psychology, whereas it's a circle, and it's like a bullseye. And so the bullseye is if you have the strongest attachment to your family, then your outer family, your close friends, peers, colleagues, blah, blah, blah. And it goes all the way out until the last rung of the bullseye is everything in existence. And the conservative heat map is really concentrated on those first fundamental units of society. Your peers, your colleagues, your family, your friends, right? Really centralized. For the left, the heat map actually focuses on rung 13 or 14, which is all living things, including trees and plants. So it's this Brothers Karamazov problem where you can't love individual people or things or your community. You have to love everything in the abstract. And I feel like this is that.
It's a little
in
bit
real life.
It's a little bit worse, actually. The researchers described it as inert objects. Democrats' heat center on that map centers around inert objects like trees and rocks. Rocks, literally. And to be fair, I care deeply about rocks. I see a rock formation that's thousands of years old, like a big circle on a little thing. Somebody wants to smash that up, I'm stopping.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, don't you touch that rock. That's a cool rock. As for the gravel outside, I don't much care.
I mean, I'm not particularly fond of gravel myself.
Yeah, gravel's bad.
That's what this is, right? Yeah. It manifests in your community, which is these people don't actually care that they're destroying your Teslas. They're so fixated on loving, the government or loving America in the abstract. They don't actually know or understand or have any sense of what it actually is, right? Because they've decided that America is this amorphous thing that I get to decide what it is at any point in time, and if that requires me destroying someone's Tesla or getting out in the streets during the Summer of Love and burning down whole neighborhoods, or not calling the police when I see a crime happen on the street, or locking up Daniel Penny, any of those things are totally fit in to this psychological matrix that people have actually mapped now for you to see how deranged this movement actually is.
I just think it's a cult, and sometimes I watch some of these other podcasts sometimes, and I know that many of these other prominent personalities are too scared to say what they know is true. Come on. There were 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. We have no explanation for the first one. Jenna Ellis, Trump's lawyer, was charged with RICO simply for drafting a letter for the president. She didn't do anything. And I think it was it might have been Minnesota, Wisconsin, they went after Trump's lawyers as well. The moment Democrats in government tried to arrest Trump's lawyers for simply representing him. It was apparent that we were in some kind of fight between warring factions in the government for control of that government.
I would say even earlier, right, when Obama's wiretapping Trump's campaign.
Absolutely.
Right?
And it's fascinating to me when I ask people about this and they refuse to answer the question. I am not saying anything. It's like, it's not an opinion statement. It is a fact question. Did they try to arrest Trump's lawyers? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Okay. Yes, it's a fact. They literally did arrest his lawyers. Not they didn't try to. They literally did. They indicted and arrested. Okay. Is that unconstitutional? Yes, it literally is. Okay. So have Democrats unconstitutionally targeted the president with criminal indictments, threats of property seizure, targeting of his assets, resources, family, and lawyers? Yes, all of that's true. What do you call that? It's an honest question. There's no gotcha. There's no trick question. I don't know. How would you describe a state of government where one political faction has violated the supreme law of the land, that's the Constitution, to destroy their political opponent?
I mean,
banana republic, a despotism.
It'd be like banana republic or something like that. Because that's the type of thing that you expect to hear from
with those
third world
things.
Countries and stuff.
Those things are facts, and I want to make sure I do this because for a lot of people who don't know, here you go. Jenna Ellis becomes latest Trump lawyer to plead guilty over efforts to overturn Georgia's election, crying in court. Pleading guilty. I think the argument was that it would be overturned or whatever. This is October 24th, 2023. It's a fact. They've arrested more than one of Trump's lawyers. Well, that's unconstitutional. The right to due process and legal representation is enshrined in our Bill of Rights, in our Constitution. They did it. We know they did. Okay. This is an administrative level. They also tried to seize his assets in New York City. Even though Deutsche Bank, Trump's creditors, his lenders, argued that he made them money, he never deceived them, and they would like to work with him again, they still found him liable of civil fraud. Now, with these things being true, the question then is, what should a now Trump administration do in response to what they did to him?
You got to go full force.
Yeah.
Shatter.
Not a trick question.
The whole system.
Honest question. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know about these exactly, but I always think about how I want Nuremberg trials for all the COVID stuff.
So I ask these questions to other personalities, and they are terrified to actually engage in this conversation.
Why?
Because they know what the end result of all of this is going to be. Life is not going to be fun at all. It's going to be scary.
They shut the world down already.
But it's I know. And people have always hoped they can just lay on the floor and the mob will pass their house by. Mm-hmm. You're right. They already took your life away. And they're hoping and begging it doesn't happen again. Okay. If Donald Trump does not criminally charge, indict, investigate, if Dan Bongino and Kash Patel do not go after these individuals who violated the Constitution, targeting their political opponent, you have no country.
Totally.
If they are allowed to do these things without repercussion, there was the lawyer who altered an email so Carter Page would go to jail. Remember that? Yep. Falsifying evidence.
Yeah.
The fake impeachments, the censorship. The only rational conclusion is, for anybody who knows the truth, Trump must investigate, indict, arrest, and charge politicians, attorneys general, district attorneys. You go to one of these run-of-the-mill woke light or fake centrist types, and you ask them these questions, they will abandon the conversation faster than you can say andale, yipa, yipa.
Yeah, I voted for accountability. I want, like, these people mutilated our society, and first they attacked us during lockdowns, forced people out of their jobs, destroyed families. We can go through the whole list, and then they went after Trump super hard. So I want accountability.
There's the meme that Trump puts out there, not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. There's a significant amount of truth to that. They're after the liberties that you have as an American. And the idea that now that the right is in power, they shouldn't try to, one, rectify the things that have been broken, and two, try to punish those people that actually did the breaking. That's absurd. The right is in power. They should use every means at their disposal to rectify the problems that were caused by the Democrats and punish the people that did it.
And their neocon friends as well.
Of course. Yeah.
I think.
So what happens if Donald Trump then? So some of the actually, you know what? I should pull this one up. We didn't have it. We didn't have the story pulled up, but I do think we'll just grab it. I don't want to use Reuters. Let's use New York Post. Let's jump to the story from the New York Post. Trump revoked security clearance for Joe Biden, an entire family, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and other political foes. I mean, the viral claim here is that this is the precursor to investigation, indictment, and arrest.
Yes. Good.
They're removing their security clearance, so these individuals don't know the movements that are happening behind the scenes.
Biden did it to Trump.
Indeed. And so, should Trump actually do this, if these rumors are true?
Yes.
100%.
What do you think the left will say?
Freaking out. This is going to feed their confirmation bias that he's a crazy dictator.
And with them already firebombing Tesla dealerships
it's gonna
and
accelerate.
shooting cars.
It'll accelerate.
Yep.
It's going to get ugly. But it's been ugly.
This is the conversation I've tried having with many moderate individuals. They don't want to have it. They simply just say, no, I don't think so. And just answer the question, yes or no. Did they arrest Trump's lawyers? I'm just saying, I don't want to have this conversation because I figured you're a coward. That's why.
I want to highlight a piece written by Dr. Matthew Meehan in The American Mind about a roadmap to restore accountability in our government. And one thing that he mentions in this piece is the first thing that you can go after, and it's actually a relatively easy thing to go after, rather than the types of high crimes that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris might be engaged in. Just go after perjury first. Just get those guys. Because we've seen it from Brennan, we've seen it from Clapper, we've seen it from all these guys in the past. I do think, though, like I have to convince myself on a daily basis to not be so gosh darn red meat about this issue, because I am no moderate on this. I think we should go go all the way, right? We need to hold these people accountable. At the same time, do you actually need, what's the type of I won't call it destruction. I'll call it creative destruction that you need over these types of individuals. Like, is justice served if there is a requisite amount of public knowledge and public destruction of these individuals and their crimes? So, like, can I make it impossible for Hillary Clinton to ever go get a stipend from
it's not enough
Goldman Sachs?
I get it. I want them in jail.
Right. So you want definitely some of these people in jail, but it's like, how do you balance that in a way so that we don't get into a situation where the entire country starts to fall apart? And so I've really been trying to think about what Dr. Meehan challenges people to think about. It's like proper political uses of clemency that can strengthen accountability, public trust, and the rule of law. And if we all sit around and realize that we're in a country that is impossible now, I don't even know how even know how you can grapple with that.
I don't know if shaming those people like a Clinton
shame.
It's not just public shame. It is like the full trial procedure, etc. And
is there a punishment?
And
if they're found guilty after a trial, is there a punishment?
I think you could use specific it depends on the circumstance, right? So like for someone like Anthony Fauci, who is guilty of perjury and many other things, like jail.
Yeah. Or space. We just launch him into space.
Or he's gonna be the first guy on Mars.
That's right. We'll ruin Mars.
Yeah. Wear your masks on Mars. If you're talking about, I'm trying to figure out someone who'd be more apropos.
Maybe like a governor, from like a Whitmer or a Cuomo.
Maybe it's enough to go through this process, and then on the back end, Trump just being like, "I pardon you."
Right. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't want them pardoned. Those people are genocidal maniacs.
We know that the governors of several blue states put COVID patients in nursing homes, killing the elderly.
Against the CDC's, even the CDC said don't even do it, and they were like, nah.
For sure. No, I'm trying to figure out politically sustainable ways to hold these people accountable
while keeping the country
keeping the country together.
But
Donald Trump did not start this.
Oh, I know he didn't start it.
So you're basically saying Trump needs to. There needs to be a way to be nice to people who initiated.
No, it's not. It's not necessarily nice. It's not necessarily nice. It is, and it's not meant to be nice to those people who have done the wrong. It is to figure out a way to structure our retribution, because our retribution is going to be success, in a way that doesn't destroy the country. Because let me just be clear, I don't think Trump's going to destroy the country, golden age, blah, 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 blah. But if these are the stakes, right, where like, it's going to be Summer of Love is going to look like a sideshow if this thing really kicks off. I think we really do have to think about this really critically.
Summer of Love will kick off. It's already starting. They've got on the 29th the Tesla takedown.
Right. 500
locations, I think it is, or 500 events. There's just today, we already covered the story, they found more bombs at a Tesla location in Austin. We've had more stories of violence and vandalism targeting private Tesla owners. There's a disabled woman who